Hello, for this week's video I've decided to do something a bit different, and it's all about using your phone for sat-nav. So I've got three apps that I've sort of chosen here that I think would be useful for anyone that rides a motorbike. First off, my one caveat with all of this is that using your phone as a sat-nav on any bike definitely gets a mount for the bike, because otherwise stopping all the time and pulling it out of your pocket, taking gloves off, it just doesn't work. So you want a decent sort of handlebar mount. On my V-Strom I've got an accessory bar and I mount it on there. The other big caveat is battery life. So obviously using your phone and GPS and an app all the time, it really drains your battery. So again, on my V-Strom I've got an external sort of USB plug and I have my phone plugged into that all the time. So the battery doesn't drain. So if you've got both of those things covered, then hopefully this video will be of some use.
So first up is good old Google Maps. First of all, Google Maps is great because it's simple and it does have some sort of traffic info in it. One really cool thing that most people don't know about, though, is its ability to look back at where you've been. So what you probably don't realise is that if you're logged into your Google account on your phone, then it's tracking you at all time. So although that's quite cool, it's quite scary at the same time. So this function you can look back is called Timeline, and you can use it on the app as I'm doing now, or you can use it on your desktop in a browser. It actually works probably a bit better on the desktop because you've obviously got more space. But if you can see there's sort of your place is your timeline. If I go to my timeline, it's first of all showing today, but if I sort of go back a couple of weeks and have a look there, then you can see I had a ride up to Hawes there. So you can see the sort of route I took. So as you can imagine, that's really, really useful. If you can't remember the roads that you're on, but you remember it being a good road, a combination of this and sort of desktop, clicking on somewhere and then doing the street view will remind you of exactly where you were, and it sort of shows where you stopped and where you get fuel, all that kind of stuff. So really, really useful. So the second app is an app that I've used for years. It's my sort of number one car sat-nav app, and it's an app called Waze. That's W-A-Z-E. One of the really cool things about it is that its traffic information comes from other users of the app. So if someone is stuck in traffic, it will detect that they're doing 10 mile an hour instead of 70 mile an hour, say. All that data feeds back into the sort of system, so it will warn you about that. So it works really, really well as a normal sat-nav. But if you're just trying to get somewhere A to B, this is the sort of app to use, and it's my sort of standard app. But one of the cool things is in its settings. So if we go to the settings here, then in the driving preferences, then you can set your sort of vehicle type. So there you can set it to be a motorcycle. That then means it will use motorcycle lanes in city centres, those kinds of things. The other thing I always do when I'm on the motorbike, I always stick it to avoid motorways. And you can even sort of use, if you're on an adventure bike, you can say allow unpaved roads. So, like I say, it's pretty good that you can change those. But I basically use this for going A to B, and it works really, really well for that. So, my third app is a motorcycle-specific app. It's called Calimoto. Like I say, this one is purely for motorcycle riders. And I don't really use this just as a sat-nav. You can do that. I use it for finding interesting routes to places that I'm going to, or if I want to just do a round trip, then there's a really cool feature that I'll show you now. So from where I am, I can choose how many miles I'd like to go. I could choose a direction I want to go in. and just generate one. So what it then does, it creates a circular route of, in that case I'd said 33 miles or something. So it's done a 34.6 mile route that will take about an hour from where I am. And these aren't just normal sort of the big roads. What it's done is chosen sort of twisty routes. So this works really, really well. As well as doing that sort of circular loop, which is dead useful. If you've got an hour, if you fancy going out for an hour's ride on a Sunday morning, you just do that and it's from home. So it works brilliantly. And it's always different. Whenever you generate them, it just generates different routes, and you can specify I want to go north today or south, east, west, etc. So it works brilliantly. As well as being able to do it that way, again, you can sort of search for places. So I'd like to go there. It will then calculate an interesting route to where I want to go. In fact, what I've done there is add it on to that existing route. What I'm probably better to do is just go to the planner, clear it, and just set a normal route there. So just navigate to there, and there we go. From where I am, it's planned an interesting route to Helmsley. The quickest route, because I know this area quite well, would just to be go straight across the A64 and then up there, which is pretty boring. The route that is selected is way more interesting, and again, you can sort of tell from the image on the map that that's a lot more interesting than just sitting on a dual carriageway. And the final way you can use this is to put it into a tracking mode. So here, then, yes, it's got things like speedo and altitude, but it tracks wherever you're going on your route. So that's really handy that you can just put it in this mode when you're not even using the sort of sat-nav elements. So if you were out for a ride with friends, they knew the route you were taking, you had no idea where you're going, you could just track that route. Then it's in your saved routes. So if you wanted to do that ride again, you could. Or even a section of that, so you could sat-nav it to the start of that route and then carry on. So this app's called Calimoto, and again, I tried it out a lot over this summer for just interesting rides and for just blasts out, and it worked brilliantly. I found some really cool, little interesting roads, and especially in areas sort of where you live, that you don't appreciate how many good roads there are, and this is a good way of finding them. So that's it, that's the Calimoto app.
So that's it for this week's video. Hope you found that useful. If you did, then give us a thumbs up. Please leave any comments on sort of your recommendations or any questions in the comments below. I've also added in the description links to all these apps, so you don't need to remember what they are. You can just click on those links and go straight to them. So thanks again for watching. As well as videos like this, then I do bike reviews, videos of events I go to, all this stuff's motorcycling related really. And I'm also doing updates on my Project Honda Scrambler that I'm building. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully see you next week.